Well, hello there, everybody. And anyway, so hello, thank you for hanging out. It's a fun day. In fact, it's a freaking beautiful day. It's like spring here, weather that we typically would get in April. And I got to tell you, it's just delightful. The cicadas are still here, but yeah. So anyway, thank you for stopping in. I speak favor over us all. Nothing missing, nothing broken. That's how we hang. Abracadabra. We create what we speak, calling those things that be not as though they are. Yeah, you know, being able. I always like this when if you apply it. That we are able to call things forth as though they existed, but they don't exist. It's pretty powerful. I don't know what a god is or is not sometimes. I mean, it's everyone has their own point of view, but that sounds like a god to me. I don't know. Well, maybe the animal kingdom can do that. We got pets that sometimes manifest who's doing what. But anyway, hello, Mary Winds. How you doing, Jackie? Saw that you were at the beach, huh? Way to go. That's nothing. That's just cool. That does recharge um the soul, I always like to say. DC, what's good to see you? Lost in space. Hello, Lilith. How are you? Who else is hanging out there? Grace, and let's see. Gogo, all the way from Croatia. Goddess Sabina, how are you doing, my dear Bernadette? Now that we're getting back into a schedule, um, what is your schedule next Tuesday? Love to have you. And speaking of next week, got Ryder coming on the 5th, and then I will be over on his channel on the 6th. Going to get in some pretty deep stuff. I don't know. Maybe it's shallow. I don't know. I guess it just depends on what your point of view is. All right. Lori, hello. Good to see you. Bonnie, hello. Nina, what's up? Nigel, good to see you. Good. What else is happening? Um, yeah. But anyway, Jargo, what's good? Good to see everybody. So, state of confusion. Always the distractions. And boy, we got distractions. Yeah, it's like being down the midway of a carnival. Yeah, jokers to the right, fools. Yeah, just depends, but they're here and they're here in a freaking abundance. There is so much to keep us distracted. And, you know, I, I'm more convinced that technology, again, is a weapon. I know people have different points of view, but you know, think about someone, let's go 1850, heading west. Actually, by 1850, they had, I think the railroad was in, but let's go, pioneers. And you had a lot of time to think. I mean, you worked hard, you worked your ass off, but there was never no insomnia, too damn tired. Um, and it, depending where you lived, it would either be damn hot, humid in the summertime and colder than it had a whole lot to that. Very cold. I'll just put it that way. I think another one I heard of Wells Digger's ass digging. But yeah, a lot of time to think. You didn't have all the clutter, the noise. But today, it's 24/7, 365, baby, in your face. And even if to those who have cut the cord and thrown out the idiot box and does not really listen to the programming, um, the fact is we're in this electric magnet, magnetic field, Wi-Fi, you know, 5G, 7G, 10G, all around us. I'm sure that has nothing to do with anything, right? Nothing. No, Steiger, it doesn't look like anything. But yeah, we are a species. We're going nuts. Maybe that's something, I don't know, was it a flaw in our makeup? I mean, did the genetic Frankenstein doctors, did they screw with our genetics? I mean, you think about it, we as a species, we're totally screwed. The Human Genome Project showed that. We are a tampered, damaged species. It's sad. It sucks. The other thing, they found out was and discovered that there are no humans left. No. If there ever was something human, I don't know. What I do know is that we all are hybrids. Yeah. Isn't that exciting? So we're all hybrids. In other words, we got stuff in our DNA that we got no idea that was in our DNA. And everything is with the DNA. Medicine, because we don't know everything about these bodies. A lot of it we just guess at going, oh, okay. But you think about how we come into perceptions. I mean, we got more information, apparently, code than we know what to do with. They say, you know, something like 1 million Library of Congresses. So that's the code we carry. Why? I mean, it certainly hasn't made us any smarter. We don't live any longer. And doesn't that suck? You think about it. They screwed us. We should be able to live. Let's just go with the storyline, this pre-Adamic world. It was a different world than this is. Different humans, different cities, cultures. They had to be smarter than us because they said that they lived to nearly 1,000 years. I mean, what the heck? Give me 1 second. What the heck, Um, it's like, choice. But 1,000 years. I mean, if any of us could live and remain at an optimum age, because apparently we aged much slower then. But imagine if we could live to be 300 years old. That would put us at your so-called prime. Your prime of life would last 100 years or more. Wow. I mean, if we could live, let's say 500 years, that would mean most of us in our youth would extend maybe 250 years. And if wisdom comes by experience, that brings knowledge, then we'd be some pretty smart asses, wouldn't we? I mean, it just stands to reason. Wow. And we say it here all the time. So our species is that your lifespan, depending on where you live in the world, is anywhere from about 45 to 75. That's all you get. There are those who live longer. I mean, look at the current individual that's in in our country, supposedly the head of the government. I mean, you go, no, no, because we know you get past 80. Yeah, some still have the fire, some still have their cognitive abilities. They get impaired no matter how you look at it. Age does that. But still, there are those, and then, that exceed that, but by the vast majority, yeah, mid 70s. It sucks. My generation, the IQ level was inching up. Now it's collapsed. Yeah. So is this all like manipulation? I often think about this. Who they the deck is stacked against us. It's like going in on Times Square back in the 70s and the 80s, so they were still there. They had three-card monte games going on. No way you'll ever win in that. But that's how I feel that they've done to the human race. We can't win. Genetically, we can't undo the damage of whatever these things are, whether they're a species, whether they're a different race, whether they're even human. But they are the controllers. They've done this. They've done this from the very beginning. Whoever that is. We know that the Earth has many different versions other than the one that we see today. Apparently, there was a time where we had trees that were extending 5, 6 miles up into the atmosphere. Apparently, these whatever they are, these beings, apparently they at one time were literally, physically, they say, on this planet. There were giants. We know that. All religions have been created by these beings. And it's weird. We can get into a lot of different things because they're here. It appears that as we see through the canopy, and if our electronic eyes that we put out in space, these satellites that have these telescopes on them, we're told, and they take pictures of the universe. We can only see the past. We cannot see the present. Light, no matter how you see it, is always past tense. So we only see, I don't know what I mean, we get some fantastic pictures, Hubble and Cassandra, and now we can see in the full light spectrum. And what we're seeing is if you were to show this to a person 200 years ago, they would freak out. They would say, no, this is magic. This is voodoo of the hoodoo, right? But we see this universe that is in motion and it seems to be endless. And we think we're the only ones here. We think we're the only living species. But that's insanity because we're now seeing that there are planets everywhere. Now, it's said that this race of beings, they actually collect, sell, trade, conquer planets. A lot of people can't grasp that, but if you imagine a long-lived species, because our perception of life is predicated on going around a circle, a star. And this is how we've now been trained to believe that this is how time works. Decays of atoms, time. But anyway, humans can't accept the fact that this planet is not ours. We don't own anything. We don't own shit. They made damn sure about that. Listen, getting back to a lifespan. Come on, less than 100 years? That's bullshit. But anyway, someone, something, or some group, I don't know, owns this planet. They either came and discovered it, they either came and fought over it, or, they were traded. We subsequently give value to a planet in its ranking by the fact that we have a unique form of bio life. And I'm sure that this planet is probably worth quite a bit. I think probably the owners are pissed because we're really fucking up the planet. I think eviction notices are in motion because we can't seem to take care of that which we've been given. Because again, we think that we're the only one, and we think that this is because of a God said that it created us. You go out into the straight world and you talk like this, they'll think you're crazy or you're possessed. You're a heretic. And so, speaking of this fact of teaching heresy, because we go against the standard narrative. There ain't no fucking God. Not in the sense that religion is predicated upon it. There's something out there. I don't think it's God. I don't think God has anything to do with it. I don't even think God exists in the construct of what we've been taught about a unseen, undefined, non-tristic idea. And this is God. And we believe that we live in this world of dualism. Well, it's very interesting about dualism because there is a cat. Give me 1 second. We're going to get into some pretty cool stuff. And let's see. Let's get yeah. So this is Marcion, cat that lived in the 2nd century. And the warped thing about today is that people think that this so-called spell that we're under, this thing called religion, and in this case, Christianity. Listen, Christianity is a virus. If you read the narrative, it's exactly what this thing said to go out do. Go out and contaminate, infect everybody else. But there was this cat in the 2nd century, which Christianity was nothing more than paganism. It hadn't even gotten organized. And there was no Jesus. That word didn't exist. Well, now we got it everywhere. But anyway, so this cat, because remember, a lot of competition, that you're going to be a part of this new corporation. It's going to become a monopoly. It's going to control certain segments of commerce. And you want to get on the ground floor. And what you're going to do is that you're going to attack anyone that says anything about you or your corporation here, in this case, religion. But there were some smart people. And Marcion's one of those. He said this, is that he believed, and by the way, that they wanted to kill this cat. Because he said, this is bullshit. You're trying to tell me that there's this one God that can't seem to figure out what the hell it wants. It talks about creating its own race, pulling that race out of the human race. That was his race. Don't fuck with him, or you're going to have to fuck with him. And then he apparently had a change of heart, or either got stoned or drunk. I don't know, maybe all of them. The gods do get high. Yeah, they have sex, but oh no, that's sacrilegious. Yeah, sure, it's in the book. But anyway, and then suddenly says, well, this shit ain't working here. I gotta rewrite a whole new chapter here. And so he goes through a personality change. Because he's a pissed off dude all the time. Just constantly pissed. He's pissed about this, he's pissed off about that, and he blames everybody else. But now he has a change of heart and says, well, just like he did with taking a race out of the human race, he says, well, I'm going to let just certain people in as long as they tote the line. You've got to speak the narrative and don't deviate out of the script. And suddenly now he's got this new name of Daddy. Who's your daddy? Papa, Abba, Father. Not even associated with the other part, but we're supposed to think now, and through this, we're going to get fucking enlightenment. We're going to get the Christ message because it's love. Bullshit. Well, they ain't got nothing to do with it. But Marcion comes along and he says, no, I ain't buying it. No. He says, you're trying to tell me that the two are one. No, nope, not having it. Now they're two different gods here. They're competing for all things of supposedly a soul. Now you got to ask yourself, why would a god want a soul? The question is, why would a god want worshipers? But anyway, let's get back to this. This cat was really cool. I could have hung out with him. He'd fit right in with this group. Now he said no. He said he believed that the message of the gospel in the New Testament was simply love and grace, that there was no law or wrath in God, in the God of Yeshua, Jesus, or Jesus, Christos, Christ. Because the Old Testament often portrays him in terms of law and wrath. The lawgiver, the jealous, angry God, full of vengeance, curses. And got the thing about blood. Now, seriously, you're telling me that the so-called, genius of the universe, that he's so fucking smart, but yet he's got this hang up on blood. Blood's everywhere. And he's really into killing. Really likes to kill. And he likes that the shedding of blood. He's all about that. And so there was a large segment of believers of the way. There was no Christianity. People get that. It didn't exist at that time. But anyway, he's saying, nope. He said, this God of Jesus could not be the God of the Old Testament instead of another God who had nothing in common with Jesus and his God. Now, these are not gods. This is a species. That's all it is. They have technology. They're long-lived. They've been around a long time. They got shit figured out that we have no idea. And so they're gods. It says, Marcion thus espoused a dualistic view that said there are two deities, the creator God of the Old Testament, whose essential attribute is righteousness, and Jesus' God of the New Testament, whose essential attribute is acceptance. In order to sustain this view, Marcion rejected the entire Old Testament and any portions of our present New Testament that did not cohere with his view of Jesus as God as love. Hence, Marcion only accepted into his New Testament an edited corpus of 10 of Paul's letters and altered versions of the Gospel of Luke. Now, it's fascinating because over here on the left, well, you get the standard narrative. Now, the counter to this was this cat named Tertullian, and this cat, wow. When you read their words, you go, okay. So he says, the provocateur of truth is such a God. What a dissembler with his own decision. He's talking about this dualism. Two different gods. You can't have this God of love and be this God in the Old Testament. No. They are completely the antithesis of one another. But anyway, so the counter to the narrative here, because you got to bring in the goddamn fear, man. You're nothing but a sinner, afraid to condemn what he really condemns, afraid to hate what he does not love, permitting that to be done which he does not allow, choosing to indicate what he dislikes rather than deeply examine it. In other words, he's saying this guy's frivolous. Yeah, he's an open thinker, man, and those are dangerous people. Don't be around open thinkers, because what happens is you spend enough time around open thinkers like this group, and it'll shake you all up, turn you upside down, spin you around, and say, now tell us what you think. Anyway, this will turn out in an imaginary goodness. Excuse me, how is goodness something that's merely imaginary? Let's continue. A phantom of discipline, perfunctory in duty, careless in sin. Listen, ye sinners, that's the point. You are a fucking sinner. And if you don't follow our narrative, well, you're just totally screwed. We want nothing to do with you, and God wants nothing to do with you. Oh, yeah, but this is the cat of love, right? Anyway, he goes on to say, ye sinners, and ye who have not yet come to this, we're going to break you one way or the other, that you may obtain to such a pass. A better God has been discovered, who never takes offense, is never angry, never inflicts punishment, who has prepared no fire in hell, no gnashing of teeth in the outer darkness. He is purely and simply good. He indeed forbids all delinquency, but only in word. He is in you if you are willing to pay him homage for the sake of appearances, that you may be seen to honor God. For your fear he does not want. And so satisfied are the Marcionites with such pretenses that they have no fear of their God at all. Bingo, baby. That's the whole point. Fear. That just totally sucks. Fear. I mean, hello. I'm just sitting there going, okay. So let me get out of here for a second. Where is my mouse? Odd term. Mouse. Okay, so I'm going to get the next one up here because this then leads us into the next question aspect of this discussion. So you can clearly see how this thing started. They couldn't get people to accept this new God unless they had the fear factor tied into it. Because if you're afraid, then you're easily controlled. Fear is the great controller. This species, this race of beings, whoever there is, not just one. I don't know how many. They've been here a long time. The reason why we can't remember our beginnings is that because we've had multiple beginnings. It's a fact. We've had so many beginnings, we're not really sure where we really are in the timeline. We've made the shit up. Oh, we tried to say, well, you can do carbon dating. Yeah, right. We're still simians throwing our feces at one another and masturbating most of the day because that's what our species does well. We love to mentally masturbate because, that gives us such sense of, importance. Anything to escape the pain, baby. And that's what it is. We have apparently been a species that we're subjected to pain. That's how we learn. You don't necessarily learn when everything is peachy, everything is given. Because our species, we just don't appreciate it. And you don't have respect for that which you have no appreciation for. You don't, it's just the way it is. And it tells me that they are not perfect. Perfection doesn't exist. It appears that the greater the intelligence, the more malevolent the race or species is. Greater intelligence doesn't bring mercy, benevolence. It appears to be just the opposite. It appears that whoever is the architect of this, we don't know. We only guess that they don't know either. There is no such thing as perfection. It's an illusion. It's a delusion. To believe or even begin to adapt a construct or belief that perfection exists is a fool's paradise. By the very definition of perfection, it simply means it doesn't exist. There is no perfection, never will be. If there is to be perfection, it'll be what you decide perfection is. But you'll never want to have it perfect. No. And it appears that we are just merely another version of a continuation of something. We live in a world right now that is a world that's gone insane. Hey, everyone in the chat room, how y'all doing? Hey, CJ, hey, you're up early, brother. Good to see you. Chris and Paul, Joe, Lady Ellie, how are you? Voice over by Stephanie Marie, how are you? I absolutely believe that Wayne, I've had so many countless dreams of being other places. Yes, yeah. Yeah. And it appears that we are. I mean, if you look at what we've done to ourselves, it's odd that we are a species that we self-destruct. We can't live in peace. We don't have that ability. It's not in us. We are, for all intents and purposes, a warrior species. We murder. We kill. We're very good with killing. You have to kill something in order to survive here. Killing is our first nature. We will kill what we fear, and we fear a lot. They use that. Look at our government today. The Department of Justice has been weaponized. We've now weaponized the justice system. That's the act of insane people. But we repeat this. This is nothing new. And imagine, this is the, epitome of so-called intelligent, educated people. You ask me, there are a lot of dumbasses. They may have the paper degrees, but really, they should just use it as to wipe their ass, because they're not the smartest people. You can see it by their policies, their decisions. It's insane. And there's no side that has the patent on that. It's something about us. Our gods kill because we kill. And since we kill, and we like killing, and we'll even define killing. While you have a mercy killing, and you have a vengeful killing. It's all killing, but we do it all the time. If the universe is anything other than what we have ourselves are, then we would be isolated, would be quarantined, because something's wrong with us. And we get that narrative that you're a sinner. Don't you realize it? You're flawed. But we never question the narrative and say, but wait a minute. If we're flawed, then it's your goddamn fault, not mine. You're the one that's supposed to got all the answers. You're supposed to be like everywhere, know everything, but you seem to make a lot of mistakes. Yeah. Again, why is it we only live less than 100 years? Why is it that most never achieve an IQ in the last 3 or 4 generations above 100? No. Something ain't right. Now, I don't know if that has to do with our spirits or, well, I mean, we like to think that our spirits are pure and, but maybe they're not. You look over in the death realm. And then that, by the way, has been heavily dictated by this species, these beings. We call them UFOs, aliens. And no matter how you look at the story, even this Jesus story is an alien abduction. It's a rape. Or it's genetic manipulation, one of the two. And so we've got foreign DNA that's injected into the bloodline of a species. Oh, that's right. We read what that was contaminated, however many millennia prior. But here we have now another same thing, no difference. You have these fallen angels coming down and having sex with everything. Women, but everything. Contaminate the bloodline. And then you read the story of how the bloodline was, portioned it out. Okay? It's all genetics all the way through this. It's this constantly re-engineering. And then you've got this story now of this thing they're called the Holy Spirit. So the Holy Spirit has the ability to produce sperm. Or it is a geneticist that happens to have a different component to the genetic structure that's now being introduced, which would give a certain individual considering that if they would only be 50% pure, no matter which side of the equation, but would give them the key advantage of finding this enlightenment. Okay. But no matter how you look at it, the human was a host. You could say in one aspect that it was a parasite. What we do know, it was a true hybrid. This is alien. This got UFO shit all over it. It's all. That's what they are. The gods, von Däniken was right. I mean, the chariot of the gods, and why? But you know why we hated it is that because it takes all the freaking drama out. Well, you have to have religion in order to have righteousness. You have to have religion in order to have the law. No, you don't. Common sense and empathy will go a long ways. But no, narrative is not like that. But we have been slowly, I mean, this goes back thousands of years, conditioned to be in awe or worship of these beings that come from the sky. Now, whether they live there, whether they have bases in our oceans, who knows? But they're here. But no, this is all just fantasy. No. It's very interesting that when you look at Hollywood, particularly of the 50s, when the genre really started, the indoctrination, the acceptance of these gods. Now, they couldn't frame it that way, so they had to frame it with this flying saucers, spacemen. These are gods. These are the gods of the Roman pantheon, Mesopotamian, Greek, India. I mean, that's what they are. But we've been introduced, and you think about the genre of science fiction. Well, we're so versed with it today is that we're just waiting for them to appear. And when they do, it's not going to be a shock. It'll be a shock to some people because they're going to go, oh man, oh shit, they're actually real. Yeah, they are. They are the gods. They have hierarchy. I mean, I guess there must be a head honcho on this. I don't know if they're human. I mean, if you follow the story of how they want us to be indoctrinated in their image. Problem is, we don't know what that really means. We created them in our image. Well, we don't even know what they look like. We assume, but I don't know. I've seen a lot of impressionists in their arts. Peter Max is one. That was in his image. I don't know what they are. I don't know what their image is, but we've learned to accept it, that apparently it looks like us, bipedals. Don't think so. I mean, yeah. And if you think of the narrative, hey, Regina, happy summertime. Indeed. But the evidence shows that they have designed the message. And now it's, if you see a UFO, a UAP, whatever you want to call them, you get excited. You don't get so much fearful. It's more of exciting. It's like, hey, yeah. So there is a number. I love going through these white papers. So when you read them, they're really good because these are all academic papers. But here's the Journal of Anomalistics. UFOs exist, and everyone needs to adjust to the fact. disinformation campaigns on the UFO phenomenon. Now, the fact that they exist is a major threat to every government on this planet, unless you're part of the thought process that there are representatives from each government that are basically they're the ones that get the instructions and then bring it back down. Now, if you look at the way that the world's going, that World War III is coming. Unless there is a monumental shift in consciousness, and if it can be assaulted into these higher so-called positions of government, because there's obviously people that are fucked up in the head. I mean, when you start having individuals acting like gods, and that's what they are. Look at the crazy dementia guy that should be in the memory care, Biden. He thinks that he's some sort of dictator. I mean, he's got this in his head. You look at what is Jing, the guy over in China, and then you've got Viliad, the Impaler in Russia. I mean, these cats think that they're gods. And who knows? Maybe they have a deal with the gods. They certainly don't seem to be afraid of the gods the vast majority of the population is afraid of. Something sure is afoot. Anyway, this was in the headline of the Washington Post, by the way, in May 28th. In fact, 2019, 5 years ago. So we know this, and there is this one here is the impact of alien conquerors on human civilization and development, human characteristics and traits. There is the thought in academia that says that everything that we are has been by design. And the fact that we are apparently a work in progress, who knows what the next version of us will be? They're going to be starting from a different place. But anyway, there's a whole discipline on how everything, our psychology, how we react, how we think. We think it's unique. We think that we're original, but we're not. By all the evidence, we're a program, a running program. And it would seem that this program has a limited lifespan. I mean, if modern man is less than 10,000 years, so they say, we're babes. In the grand scale of things, we're not even forming words yet. But anyway, and in this paper, it goes on to bring out the fact that it says that this individual mentioned how religions played a role in human psychology, which works against planetary sustainability by repressing, in this case, women's rights, thus promoting the overpopulation leading to unsustainability. Blah, yeah, easy for me to say. And it's a great article. If you want it, I'll be more than happy to, because she brings out, which we've brought out. In the modern context of the Abrahamic belief system, they are anti-female, anti-feminism. They will never allow the divine feminine aspect to ever rise into power again. I think that represented a huge challenge. I could be wrong on that. And I'm watching the time on this. We'll probably pick up on this more tomorrow, because I wanted to bring out some of the things I have gotten since the last one met. And Chloe, thank you, dear. So I got a couple of her spears, and I got to tell you, Um, these are really cool. I mean, Chloe, I remember when you were showing this, and it's cool. I bought a number of them for gifts and sundry things. I got to tell you, this one, by the way, boy, talking about taking a right turn, huh? Someone in the back of the bus is going, would you tell us when you're going to take a turn like that? Yeah, I get it. I get it. I know. But this is important. I mean, here's another one that I got to tell you. It is one of these. There we go. It is just beautiful. Chloe, I remember when you were talking about this, but anyway, beautiful. I got a number of them. I'll continue to show, but thank you. Now, I also got from Nathan Frater, Nathan Shindak, who lives over in Poland, has his store on Etsy. So I ordered these and they came in, and folks, I have to tell you, I'm going to have them framed because speaking of the feminine, this is, I think, where Lilith, this is, I've always wanted this ever since I have seen it. And so you can see when I get it framed, I'll show it to you again, but this is just a fantastic print. And it's, if you've ever ordered anything from Nathan, it's quality, and it comes on canvas, which is just beautiful. And I also got, wait till y'all see this. I mean, this is some cool stuff. So, and thank you again, Nathan. He's part of this group. So this is another one. That's just cool. Yes. This is the Delphi, I believe. I'm not sure. I have to look on this. You can still smell the ink on these. And then finally, this little jewel, if I can get it here. So I love the colors in this. So if this is something that you like, just check it out. Get over on Etsy and just put in Freighter Nathan Shindak. And anyway, thank you, brother. It is beautiful, beautiful. So Guy, I know, isn't it amazing? I mean, I've always wanted that depiction of Lilith, wrapped within the serpent. And I just think that, you know, it's manifesting, it's like, I really think that was just a beautiful representation of the divine feminine, of Lilith herself. It is, Guy. It's wonderful energy. It's rather with Chloe's crystals and the spears that I got, and then from the prints. Yeah. So good stuff. But again, if I take the story, I can easily now look at Lilith as potentially either a one-time, very powerful kingdom, or a rebel that rebelled against this order. These are not gods. They may be immortal to us, but they even... I had this conversation with someone recently. I said, well, your God of the Bible has a limited lifespan. Oh, no, 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 no. No, he's immortal. No. Guess you never read the book of Psalms, have you? You might want to read that, because it simply says they die like we die. We just happen to die sooner. Yeah. And maybe that's where we get the fear of death, is that, it's instilled in us because they're afraid. But anyway, there appears, and you follow the story. I mean, it goes all the way back to the Anunnaki, Engi, and Inyal. But Lilith, I'm convinced, was she was either conquered or again, she is a true rebel. And rebels are great. Rebellion keeps things stirred up. Rebels cause us to think, question. And I will say this, the reemergence of Lilith in the modern genre of esoteric teachings is a big threat to the establishment, to government, to the church, to the world religions. And it's amazing how it's parallel. She was a threat back then. They couldn't defeat her. Even if you take the story, the narrative, this God, this male God, sent his most powerful soldiers after her. Victorian Guard, figure that. They couldn't take her. She's obviously such a threat that this God wanted everything removed of her. And now the fact that she is still alive. Now there's many different versions of this, but I prefer the one of a dignified energy. Definitely feminine, but highly intelligent, very intuitive, has the capacity of great empathy, and she would be what would be called beauty. She's represented in all aspects of the female part of our species. She would be a god. Never found anything where she says to worship her. Some have versions of that, but I've not found them in the studies I've had, and I have found her to be very hospitable, friendly. uh, and it's interesting because respect is always shown back with respect. So that's just my take. That's all. Gaia, what's up, hon? How's Paul? Hello, everybody. Goddess Venus said that this is why they changed her in 623 BC. Yeah. Mark says so many young women now named Lilith. Yeah. Yeah. And it's one thing that's unique on this channel. We give her a lot of respect because she's due that. She does, I think, represent the embodiment of the nature of divine feminine, what it is to be female, a woman. It's a shame that that's under attack today in the modern culture. All the strides that feminists made in the 60s and 70s is gone. We need to remerge that. And that's where I think Lilith can play a role in that. And again, there's different points of view with how people perceive her to be. Again, I perceive her to be, because it's the energy that comes to me, she's just a delight to be around. Yeah. And I agree with you, Goddess Athena. She needs to be put back on the throne. Yeah. 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 And that's the kind of thing that I wouldn't have a problem, taking a knee to it. Not at all. Great respect. Anyway, there we go. I love this group. Hey, Gilbert, what's up? Kind of a different class. Yeah, it was, And we're going to continue on. I mean, they're here. We're going to get in some more papers I have on how this is, and it's interesting because as I look at this in academia, there's this whole shifting now taking that, all right, it's not a guess that if these aliens exist, they do. They're all through our culture. They're in every aspect of our belief systems. They've been here all along. So what do we do now? Well, smoke them if you got them. That's all I got to say. Urancho 001, compare the chess game to our realm. You try to claim all your opponent's pawns. Uh-huh. True. Yep. Yeah. And I think it sucks. You know, I get pissed off when I think about what they have done to us. Listen, we've screwed up amongst ourselves, but we learn by example. And if we're in this kind of mess, what the hell does higher intelligence do? I mean, maybe they don't. I obviously, I have not met one of them, of these higher intelligences. Maybe I'm beneath them or above them, or, maybe I get inside their head, be like a virus. Instead of they're in my head, I get in their head, you know, say, hey, dude, man, where's the rock and roll? Uh, Stephanie, thank you. We try to make it fun. Nina says today is happy Hump Day. Check her out at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Link is in the chat room. Isn't sucking life? I gotta read some things. Okay. All right, everybody. Skyheart Lilith embraces free thinkers. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, a lot of them here, isn't it? I love this group. Off the Grid says it's crazy how men can't be men and women can't be women now. Ain't that the truth? Yeah, you know, I love the female form of our species. Always have. I was a flirt back in kindergarten, and I just love what the aspect of me being male, the enchantment and wonderment of the female. Don't understand them. I mean, married to one, love her very, very much. But as much as I love her, Lynn and I were talking about this. I have no idea what it is to think like a woman. I just don't, you know? Maybe I'm too male. Hey, Bonnie, right back at you. Nina, no problem, hon. All right, everybody. Red Honey, how you doing? And Uma, good to see you as well. So, all right, everybody. Thank you. Love hanging out with y'all. It's a lot of fun. Hope to be back here tomorrow as well. We'll pick up where we are, talking about those, whatever they are. Yeah. I keep on David Bowie in my head. There's a star man. All right, everybody, have yourselves a great day. Keep smiling, as Jackie says, and shining. Yeah, laughter does the heart is a good medicine. And we have a lot of that here. So, Shirley, how are you? Much love to everybody until we meet again. All